is Tim Wendelboe, and I've been working in coffee since 1998, so that means 26 years. I started off as a barista, and now I'm kind of a coffee buyer. I run my own company, coffee farm. I'm a part-time coffee farmer. I get asked a lot why I decided to buy a farm, and also why did I decide to buy it in Colombia. First of all, Colombia. Well, Colombia is a great country. It's at the same kind of latitude as Kenya. They have fantastic coffees here. But the most important part was the people. Elias offered me to buy a piece of his farm, which is behind me here, Finca el Suelo. And you need people to help you out when you have a farm in a different country, because I'm not able to be here all the time. So Colombia it was. All right, so first things first, we need to have a look at the museum in our farm, which is well protected by electric fence. But here we have, I think 12 or 13 different varieties planted, just a couple of trees of each. And then we mark the trees with codes, so that when they pick, they have different plastic bags for each tree, so that we can taste the samples to see if there's anything good. There's some Ethiopian varieties, there's some rare or old Colombian varieties. So we're trying to kind of find which trees are well adapted to this area, that gives us good quality, that doesn't have too much problems with leaf rust and other pests and diseases. And then once we kind of find that, we're going to plant some more. And then we have found some. We can maybe show you if you come with me. This is a Sudanese variety, Sudan Rumé. So we have, I think, maybe 5 or 6 trees of this cultivar. They've been harvesting this coffee from the last months, and we're going to taste a small sample in the cupping lab. And just to confirm that we really want to plant this, but the idea is to take seeds from this and plant when I'm here now. So it's August 2024 now, and that means most likely those seedlings will grow up and we will plant it in the farm in the end of 2025. So it takes about a year from when you plant the seed. You grow small seedlings and then you put them into small bags, and they grow for maybe 9 months to a year before we put them into the ground. And after that it will take maybe 3 to 4 years before you have taller trees that can produce coffee. So it's about 5-year timeline at least. So maybe 1,000 to 1,500 trees, which is not a lot. Elias, for instance, in 1 hectare, he has 4,000 trees. But we're not into volume, we're into quality. So we want to have shade, less trees per hectare, and better production in terms of quality. I want to change the way coffee is farmed. And that's kind of the whole goal with the farm today. Of course, how can a guy from Norway do that? I'm not even succeeding with the coffee that I have here. But the idea is to inspire other farmers to try some of the techniques that we're doing. And hopefully they can do it much better than us, so they can grow coffee with lower cost, better yields, better quality, and of course much better for the environment and for themselves. So our main focus is to work on the soil actually, and not so much on the trees. We try to focus all our energy into improving the soil. And that's why the farm's name is Finca el Suelo. It means the soil farm. It's a holistic program. When we started here, this land had been grazed by cows. And the soil was very compact. There was mainly bacteria in the soil, not a lot of fungus. We know that coffee plant is a forest plant, so it needs a lot of fungus in the soil in order to get the nutrients that it needs. Okay, let's have a soil biology 101. The plant has roots into the soil, and by photosynthesizing through their leaves, they are able to produce sugar, and they can pump that sugar and carbohydrates into the roots and leach it out into the soil. So just like human beings, we sweat, the trees actually can secrete fluids into the soil, and that attracts different microbes. It can attract bacteria, it can attract fungus, and so on. The fungus and bacteria start to eat these carbohydrates and sugars, and along comes small nematodes that are small earthworms and insects and amoebas, and they eat the bacteria and the fungus, And when they poop out nutrients that the tree can absorb. That's kind of how the soil food web works. Also, something that's happening underneath us is that fungus produces fungal hyphae. They can team up with the roots and colonize the roots of trees and actually gather nutrients far away and send it back to the tree. And the tree will reward the fungus by giving the fungus carbon so they can build more of this fungal hyphae, which is basically carbon. That means several things. The tree is able to get minerals, and also we sequester a lot of carbon in the soil because the fungal tubes, the hyphae, is actually pure carbon. What happens when you plow the soil? Well, you kill all these microbes and all the carbon is lost into the atmosphere. So tilling and plowing soil is one of the most damaging things you can do on a farm. If you want to keep soil biology intact, you need to not disturb the soil and actually add foods for the microbes to eat. So typical foods can be leaves. They consist of carbon, lignin and stuff that the fungus like to eat. Grasses, can be high in nitrogen that the bacteria likes to eat, and so on. So it's all about encouraging the soil biology to live so that they can team up with the trees and feed the trees what they need. So that's kind of how it works. The tree is in control. You don't need to take measurements and kind of put micronutrients on all the time. The tree knows what it needs all the time. So the only thing you need to think about is to make sure that you maximize the amount of biology that you have in the soil so that the tree gets what it wants when it needs it. It's kind of like ordering takeaway food. That's what the tree is doing all the time, 24/7. Not just 3 times a year, like conventional farming where you put on fertilizer maybe 2-3 times a year. Imagine if you only ate French fries, hamburger and drank Diet Coke 3 times a year. You would not be very healthy. You would survive, you would not be very healthy. So we need to get away from that and start using soil biology and the natural type of farming the way it's supposed to be. This is how nature and forest and everything feeds itself without any fertilizer being added. So this is the 10th year I'm working on this project. We got the farm in 2015, and so far it's been a very steep learning curve. The first years we actually planted over 6,000 trees, and most of those trees are gone. Maybe there's a few left, maybe less than 20. So you might say that I have learned a lot. I have never been farming before, and that's also kind of the idea and the reason why I got this project was to learn more about coffee farming. Looks pretty sad. Happy farmer, sad trees. So we're now into our little plot. We have 110 trees here planted. They were planted in, I think, 2019. They've been producing for a few years. This is the coffee we sold last year, for instance. The trees look miserable, but we've had a long period with no rain because of El Niño. And we just harvested, so that means a lot of the leaves and everything falls off. And if you're wondering what these little plates are, they're actually painted yellow. You can paint them red, and they have some kind of glue on them, and they attract broca, which is the little insect that eats the coffee cherries. So we have that because all of our neighbors have that. So we're not protected just by a fence. Nature goes everywhere. Behind me here is one of the Ethiopian varieties we have planted, and that is doing quite well. What I've noticed is that they grow a lot slower than other type of varieties, such as SL28 for instance. But I wanted to see if we can get that kind of same floral kind of flavor from planting Ethiopian varieties here. And it does seem to work pretty well. They taste pretty floral, but we can clearly see that they like shade, because we have some trees underneath shade that are doing much better than the ones that are outside of the shade. This tree is actually going to produce next year. It's already flowering a little bit, you can see here. But one of the best smells in the world is coffee flowers. It's a little bit like orange blossom, but a little bit more kind of like jasmine. And it has a citrusy smell, so citrus and jasmine. And you can see here, there's probably been a little bit of rain because this tree is producing flower buds and some flowers. And because the flower itself has the pollen and also the ovary, it's self-pollinating. So that means when you have flowers on an Arabica tree, you will get cherries with coffee beans that are germinated. And the flowers, you can eat them. tastes very sweet. Well, every time that I'm here, I think about giving up. Because when you see that you do a lot of work and it's not working, nature can be really harsh. Sometimes I lose faith, but then you start working, you spend some time here, you taste the coffees, and then I change my mind. So the time has finally come where I'm tasting the first samples from this year's harvest from my farm. I just couldn't wait, so I had to taste the first samples. I've milled and roasted some samples from our museum. So the trees that I'm going to plant, roasted a sample of our kind of main coffee that we are actually producing, and some other trees from the museum. And I'd like to have some diversity so I can compare the flavors to one another. This coffee is so floral. I wish you could smell it. A lot of citrus, stone fruits and florals. Kind of like a mix between a geisha and an Ethiopian coffee. So this is actually one of the first geisha trees we planted here in 2015. It's never been pruned or anything, and you can see it's not really enjoying itself. Lots of leaf rust. It's not very tall. So it's one of the few trees that has survived, but there's no future in this, so I'm not going to remove them because they're here, but I'm for sure not planting more geisha. We've tried maybe 4 or 5 times now to replant, and it's not really working. It's too much wind there, I think. So the idea, if the Sudan Rumé survives below us, we can start planting more here. And maybe eventually this whole area will be planted. Maybe we'll have 3,000–4,000 trees in total, and that's enough. This was a fantastic table. I've tasted through the samples, evaluated them. Unfortunately, there were some samples that didn't taste so great. There was one fantastic one, and a few that was very interesting, that I think has a good potential. This one was the star of the show. There are 4 trees in the museum that are Ethiopian varieties. It tastes super nice, very floral, stone fruits, mandarin, and smells like coffee flowers. It's really, really good. I would maybe score this 89 point as it is now, but this for sure has potential. Well, time will show when I'm done in coffee, but for sure I want to succeed with this project. One way or another, and also especially with the other farmers that I buy from. I really want to see them convert to organic, regenerative farming. Whether I will be able to see it or not is a different question, but I'm not the type of person that gives up. I will probably have something to do with coffee for the rest of my life. And if I retire, I'll probably have some other people working for me or something that can follow up on what I have been doing. But no, I don't really see, this is what I do, it's my life, so I don't really see me changing that.